What's up, guys? Thank you for watching the most trash show on YouTube. I'm your boy Tyler, and today I want to talk about why I switched. I finally switched, guys. Bow. Thorogood moctoe boots in this beautiful tobacco leather. Obviously, I've already started working on them. This is like day 3. But I just put some oil on them because, I'm pretty hard on my boots, and I put some kiwi oil to try to keep them nice longer. And I switched over from my Carolinas I bought a couple years ago online. Now, I watch a lot of boot stuff just because there's a couple of boot stores in my town. And yeah, they do have stuff in stock and you can try them on. And that's what I should have done in the first place. Anytime you order anything online that you're going to wear, you're taking a little bit of a gamble, right? So it's like that risk reward. If I buy this thing online, that's heavily discounted and it works great, awesome. But if I buy this thing online that's heavily discounted and I don't have Amazon Prime, or I go through a third-party site, it's not always the greatest to try to return things. But let's get into this work boot here. So I had Carolinas before, and I'm a big fan of the Rose Anvil channel. If you guys don't follow him, go follow his channel. He cuts boots in half and showed you what they're made of and the materials used and if they're good and the quality of the leather. He does all kinds of tests on them. It's really fascinating stuff if you're into that kind of stuff. If you like to see how things are made and what they're made out of, and how they construct these beautiful boots and shoes on his channel. But anyways, on his channel, he says, for the most part, with a few exceptions, he says basically the entire outer of the boot for Thorogoods is the same as Carolina. So a couple of years ago, I had a couple of buddies that swore by Thorogood boots, and I saw that the Carolinas were a little bit cheaper online. I said, it's pretty much the same thing. I'm going to just get those. They're not. They are very, very similar, but I'm going to show you a side-by-side of why I switched. But first, let's just take a look at this beautiful boot, okay? So this is a 6-inch 13EE moctoe, and I will show you at the end some B-roll of how it looks on my foot. And and yeah, so maybe I won't do B-roll. Maybe I'll just pan the camera over to my foot, okay? But yeah, this is the Thorogood moctoe tobacco, stampede, whatever, the light brown color, 13EE. Now, it has a good tongue. It's just a fully leather tongue. If you like padded tongues, maybe not for you. But one thing that's nice about fully leather tongue, and you can see where it's gusseted right here on the boot. So it's waterproof or water resistant up to that point because the tongue goes all the way across the boot. It's attached to both sides. It's sewn in both sides. Some people like that design. Some people like a loose tongue because on these tongues, when you wear them, sometimes they get like a wrinkle in them and it's hard for them to stay flat and look really nice. But personally, I don't care. I think it's a great looking boot, probably besides my Georgia's. No, this is probably my favorite looking boot ever, and my second favorite feeling boot. I'm originally a Georgia guy, but they suck now. They stopped making their Amp LT moctoe, and they make a lot of their garbage in China now. And their American boots I've tried on, they suck too, in my opinion. Now, on the inside, one of the highlights of the boot that's different than Carolina's, you get this awesome patented Thorogood gel sole, and it's a nice sole. It's got a nice squishy gel in the back and a nice squishy gel on the ball of your foot where most of the pressure is going to be. Underneath that, they have this, it's almost like a latex feeling kind of strip, and below that, I believe, is the whatchamacallit, cork. So it'll slowly over time, because your foot has to press through this and through this little silicone kind of EVA foam underneath, it will eventually leave your foot imprint in there, and so the boot will become almost like a custom personalized boot over time. And it is Goodyear welted. I know from that channel mentioned before that this is not a leather Goodyear welt. This is a plastic PVC Goodyear welt. So it is capable of splitting and cracking. However, it's really nice because even though that is not the best material, you'd rather have a leather Goodyear welt. around the bottom. It is resolable, so you know these boots aren't cheap. I paid $250. No, $249. What did you get? Yeah, I think after tax it was like $250. Okay, the guy in my local boot store gave me a deal. If you look online, these usually go from anywhere from $260 to $280. So he gave me a bit of a deal. I've gone to him for my Georgia boots in the past, and he's a good dude. He even has like a heat machine that breaks boots in for you. But I really like it. This is not the composite. This is not the composite toe or the steel toe, so it's a little bit lower profile. I think it looks nicer. Obviously, it's less safe, but really good looking boot. You got an attached loop in the back to help you pull it on, and yeah. So let me show you. Well, let me show you the other one side by side. I like the fact that they have speed hooks on here. I don't ever use this top eyelet. I don't think there's a need. I like to have a little bit of breathing room around my ankle, but great ankle support. Feels great on my feet right out of the box. I normally always put high arch insoles in there. I haven't felt the need to do these with them yet. My back feels fine at the end of the day, and my feet feel fine at the end of the day. So until one of those starts hurting, I'll probably just leave it stock. But yeah, man, beautiful boots. Obviously, you can see they have the typical wedge style polyurethane sole underneath. I think they're called like a Christie sole. But yeah, there's a million different patterns different companies have, but they're all essentially the same thing. So yeah, good grip, lasts a long time. Okay, so let's get the side-by-side done. Here's my old Carolinas that everyone says is the same exact thing. Very, very, very similar, but not the same, guys. Not the same. I do think that they're probably manufactured in a factory, or somebody that worked for Carolina used to work for Thorogood or something of that effect. Because as you can see, the stitching, right? The stitching here, you got that cross stitch here, you got that cross stitch there. The design is very, very, it's basically the same design. However, if you look, right, these are both the 6-inch version. Now, this one's a little bit, like if I pull it all the way up and get it to stand all the way up, these are still supposed to be a 6-inch boot, but look how low this is. This cinches down just like, it's almost like a high top Nike. I wish it was like an inch higher. If I got the 8s, I probably would have been fine. But also on this one, because it's so low and my ankle kind of presses down as I walk, this crease in this part that bows out and bubbles out over time kind of made it look like clown shoes, kind of made it wonky. That's kind of how my foot sits in it, and it doesn't look as cool, right? And it does that on both sides. You have like a bubbling there and a bubbling there. I'll show you with it on my foot. None of that happens here, and that's because the boot is taller, A, and B, the way it's stitched. You see how this stitch line comes up pretty high here? So you only have about 1.5 inches of leather between the collar of the ankle and this stitch. That's like a natural point that's gonna want to fold over itself. Whereas on this one, you have a full like almost three inches here from here to the top, where it's stiff and nice and it doesn't bow. You have some natural bowing, you know, along the same points, but because the boot cinches higher up on your ankle, it pulls the boot up. So you don't have that same problem, which is why I wanted to get rid of these. Both of these are 13 EEs, guys. I tried the 12 on in the store. It was a no-go. Normally people say size down in boots. I am a true 13. It is what it is. So both these are 13 EE. I'm not going to show you the tag. You're just going to have to believe me. But this one says 13 2E on the inside, and this one says 13 EE. But they both mean the same shit. The widest version of the 13s. Okay? But this is a fatter, wider boot. I think Carolina makes a truly wider boot. Like, it's hard to tell, but yeah, I don't know if you can see. It's not by much, guys. It's not by much, but it's enough to where hopefully that translates to camera. The length was good on the Carolina, but the width was so fat that, you know, and I bought them online and they were sold out because this boot is actually discontinued. Shame on you, Carolina, for no longer making this beautiful brown leather color in the United States of America, you know, anymore. But yeah, I should have got the normal, but all they had was EE left. And normally I am a 13 EE or a 12.5 EE, depending on the boot company. But this is just so wide and fat, it just looks crazy on my feet. Even though it feels okay, I couldn't get past the way it looks. Obviously, you can see from wear and tear and the way this boot looks that it's gotten some wear. I've definitely worked in these. You can see that. I've washed them and waxed them maybe like 4 times since I bought them 2 years ago. But yeah, they're pretty beat, you know, like they look okay. I could probably buff a lot of this stuff out and wash a lot of the little marks out, but you know, they are no longer, and I'm selling them, or I'm trying to sell them on Facebook Marketplace right now. One thing that I did notice in the Carolinas that I didn't see in the Thorogoods, okay, is, and this is a big concern that I think gives points to Carolina here. If you look at the stitching all through the front here. The entire front is stitched down because the first thing that tends to happen to these is the Christie wedge starts to separate from the front because you have that natural curve over time. Whereas the Thorogoods, look, nothing on the bottom, no stitching. So that's a concern. So hopefully the glues and stuff they used really did a good job of, you know, sealing the deal, because if these start to separate, that's going to piss me off. So points to Carolina for that. But I just generally think these are better, slightly better looking boots on my feet. Both out of the box, brand new. They look great. But as you can see, like even with these ones, I have this, if you look at these front laces, I had to cinch them down so tight to try to form to my foot because of how wide and fat it is. It just didn't work out, and this is kind of a low collar. They don't make this one anymore. I think they still do have some models in Carolina that are made in the States, but most of them are made, I believe, in China now. It's sad. But anyways, that's basically my comparison. They are not the same boot. They are very similar boots. They are very similar boots, okay? But they are not the same, okay? The back of this is more bulbous than this. The front of this is more wide. I don't know if this translates to camera, but I'll show you side by side. You can see it. It's visible to me. I don't know how much it's going to translate to camera, but it's visible to me, okay? And so now, let me put this, okay? Let me move this out of the way. I'll put the Thorogood on my left, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Lace this up. Okay. Tyler, act like you've laced up a boot before. All right. Sorry, guys. Not the most professional moment here, but just bear with me. I'm just getting my laces on just so you can kind of take a look and see what the boot looks like. And I have my slim fit jeans. I just have a thick boy leg, so they look like skinny jeans on. That was not a good call for the video either. But I still think I can get these over the top of the boot. Yeah, there we go. All right. So that's over that one. This one will slip on a lot easier because, like I said, it's the biggest fucking boot ever, okay? I forgot I took the sole out earlier. Okay. So even if you ignore all the dust and grime and everything else on my Carolinas, you will see what I'm talking about with how crazy these Carolinas look on my feet. Okay? So I'm lacing them up here, lacing them up. Boom. Alright, so I got the Thorogood. Obviously it's going to look cleaner because, like I said, I just fucking waxed this one. At least I got one of my boots semi-ready for camera. Okay, and the other one is dirty and I'm not going to use anymore, so that's fine. Okay, all right, so let's take a look here. So on the right you can see my Carolina boot and see how it's kind of bulging out at the side. That fold is crazy looking, right? And it looks, yeah, you can definitely see on camera how much wider it looks, okay? Both of them come with the same style laces, although the Carolinas dips theirs in wax. So that's actually a plus because it'll be a little bit more flame retardant. But everything else for the most part, oh yeah, and on the Thorogood they have this American flag tag on the side. Carolina just chose to put the little American flag pendant on the laces here. So that's how they look side by side. Obviously, you can see how beautiful these bad boys look, all waxed up. Nice next to, see, that's what I'm talking about with the tongue too. On this one, I could probably cinch my laces down and get it to sit flatter, but the tongue does want to do some natural like bending. That's kind of normal because the whole thing is cinched. I mean, the whole thing is attached and sewed on. Okay. So let me just show you the side view here. Okay. There's your Thorogood from the side, putting weight on it. Nice clean boot. It's not bulging out. Not doing any of that funny stuff. Here's the outside. Beautiful fucking boot, bro. Okay, here's the Carolina. Looking crazy, bulging out. Okay. Other side. Even crazier. See that crease? That's nuts, bro. That shit is wild. Okay. So, now that you've seen the boots, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I'm not a crazy person, okay? Hopefully you realize that. But I'm switched for life, guys. My Georgias, I've given up on them. I'm not trying to hunt for them online anymore. They're getting harder and harder to find. They don't make the Amp LT Stampede Tobacco Leather moctoes that I used to buy from Georgia's. That's the best boot I think I've ever owned. That comfort-wise, lasting-wise, and they even look great out of the box-wise. I even like the fact that the tongue is padded. I know most guys probably prefer just a leather tongue, but I like the padded tongue. It just is a more comfortable feel for me. But they're no longer, so I got to go with what's available, right? So I want to go with something American-made. I got the American-made Thorogoods moctoe Stampede Tobacco Leather, I believe, or maybe it's just called Tobacco Brown, the light brown one. Look, beautiful fucking boot. Gusseted it up here, so semi-waterproof. It's not the actual waterproof version, but it's definitely water-resistant. Throw a little wax on there, it'll be even more waterproof. And yeah, just a really fucking comfortable boot out of the box. Almost as comfortable as those Georgias I mentioned, but those things are gone forever, guys. So RIP to those. Gotta move on. The show must go on, guys. So this is what I'm wearing now. Hopefully this part doesn't separate, even though it's not sewed on the bottom like my Carolinas and my Georgias were as well. But yeah, man, made in USA, or at least assembled here. It's got the USA flag on there, so and it's got a really good leather. So Thorogood moctoe boots. That's been my review and why I switched, guys. It was time. All right. Thank you for watching the Most Trash Show on YouTube. We are out of this bitch.